Shake here with my in-depth buyer's guide to Busby blasters. Now I am going to be going over most all of their current blasters. I say mostly all because there are a couple I don't have and have not tested, so I will leave them out. I don't believe in giving a review on something I haven't actually tested. So I'm going to showcase every blaster, including those from the Adventure Force line, because they are Busby products, and some of those are really, really good buys. But I have a lot of experience with Busby. It has been something I have grown up with. To jump forward all the way to today, where I think that they are the biggest competitor to Nerf, them along with Dart Zone and X-Shot, I call them the Big Four. They're one of the Big Four brands, and they offer a lot. And I'm gonna try to pick up the pace, but I want to share some information for you to use. If you see Busby products out there, what are you looking at? Is there anything you need to know about it, and how good are they? And we're going to start with all the way back to one of the oldest currently made blasters on the market, the Little Tech 3. Comes in all kinds of different color schemes, and yes, it is still currently sold. I've seen mine, actually, the last place I personally seen it was in a 3-pack at my local Kroger Marketplace. That's an odd place to find it, but yes, Kroger Marketplaces, that's the big ones that sell everything, not just groceries, they actually still sell the Tech 3s. And that is a rear prime, manually rotated, little tiny pistol with very little power, but it's just neat. It's a little pocket-sized pistol with a keychain in the back. Moving up, you have the Gem. This is also sold as the Dual Force, and I believe it's in a 2-pack variety. That's why it's called the Dual Force through the Adventure Force line. I have a couple of those as well. The Gem is a rear-primed, auto-rotating mechanism inside. The barrels don't rotate, but it has a plunger tube that does, with very, very, very good power for its size. But it has 3 shots, rear prime. It has a itty-bitty teeny tiny pistol grip, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable because it feels appropriate for the size of the blaster you're holding, if that makes any sense. It is a small grip, and but it's a small blaster overall, and it's something you can stuff in your pocket and feel like it's a last ditch effort, or a very cheap blaster that you can get again as a 2-pack through the Adventure Force line, and you can even pick these up everywhere basically that sells Busby or Adventure Force. The Clash Combat, also known as the Busby Wizard, is basically a slightly upgraded 4-shot version of this, which instead of a rear prime has a top prime. Same basic idea. It has a auto-rotating mechanism internally, and it'll fire the 4 barrels in sequential order. And it'll keep rotating, so you have to actually have a dart in the right spot. Different than Nerf's Smart AR system, which you can throw a dart wherever you want, and it will sense it and fire it. Better thing is, equal power in all 4 barrels. Nerf's Smart AR system, wherever its first barrel is way more powerful than the 4th one, if it was a 4-shot pistol. But moving on, we have the Jaguar, which is a unique pistol by most standards. The closest thing on the market is the Nerf Ruckus, which is absolutely horrendously terrible. Nerf Ruckus is priced almost 3 times as much as the Jaguar, has worse performance, and terrible reliability, horrible function, and the only advantage is it's bigger. But the Jaguar has massive power in a very small package with a 6-shot advancing harmonica clip that is mounted in. Yes, you can modify it to where you can pull it out, and then if you have extras from some way, shape, or form getting them, you could actually carry a few. But top prime, 6-shot advancing clip, very potent. Not necessarily for the littlest of kids because it has a fairly strong spring in it and it can be hard to prime at times. Benefit is good power. Now the Sentry is a nice, comfy pump action pistol with a top prime. Now I'm not going to be priming these because I do still have that injured left arm and I'm not supposed to be using it. But very comfy pistol. Actually has a pretty nice grip overall, and that top prime is also very comfy. Dual shot, not a huge capacity, but it's a good pistol overall. My favorite pistol on the market is the Busby Zenith. I've rated this extremely highly in its own individual videos. It is a pump action, 6-shot revolving pistol, and it comes in this version with a little flip up ladder sight, or with one with the Busby's very, very unique thermal sight. And that, of course, is called the Thermal Zenith. Very neat pistol, very powerful in stock form, very smooth action, extremely well made. Love the thing to death. That is my favorite non-magazine fed pistol on the market. And because the only pistol I actually like equivalent to it is the Worker Hurricane. Moving over here, you're going to see a small selection of magazine fed pistols. For all intents and purposes, internally, they are the same blaster. You have the Busby Model 1902 that comes in the Arsenal pack, available through Walmart as a Adventure Force product. You have the Lightmaster, which is the Busby branded version, and you have the Night Attack, which is the Adventure Force version. This is available as a $10 blaster. This is available as 2 for under $25 through Kmart. Sometimes they go on sale at ridiculously low prices through Kmart. And again, it's $20 in the Adventure Force Arsenal pack, available exclusively through Walmart, that comes with a bolt-action rifle. All of these are extremely nice blasters. Magazine fed, except they accept Nerf mags, aftermarket magazines, drum magazines, anything you can fit in there. They accept every magazine, every dart, and have very good stock performance, and are easily upgradable if you're an adult or teen who likes to tinker. But we're going to move on to bolt-action blasters. Okay, now you are looking at the selection of bolt-action blasters that are currently available for Busby, and this is, to my full extent, the range that they have currently available. We have, starting at the lowest end of the price scale, you have the Alpha Rogue and the actual original Predator. Now, both have actually seen some upgrades. The Alpha Rogue is the newer model. It is a slightly different shell than the Predator itself, and it comes with a larger scope. And keep in mind, this thing is only $10. Now, the Predator is available generally through Target and Kmart and costs a couple more dollars, but they're both single-shot, bolt-action, dart-firing rifles that, the thing is they have pretty good performance now. The Predator's been around forever, and before it had subpar performance, only firing around, say 10 feet per second under Nerf Elite standards. Now they're currently up to or slightly over your typical Elite Nerf blaster. And now a new addition to that bolt-action small rifle line is the Arsenal Pack's bolt-action. It doesn't actually have its own individual name, but I've tested it quite a lot. And it's basically the Walking Dead series Andrea's rifle with a slightly different shell. And that's not a bad thing. It's a little more comfortable than the Andrews rifle. And the reason why I'm not featuring any of the Walking Dead series blasters is I had their own video. You feel free to go and find that on my channel and watch it. I might even put it in the description below or in a card. But this thing is a fairly potent blaster. It will outrange and outperform Nerf's blasters while being a nice bolt action that anybody can use. It accepts Nerf magazines, other brand magazines, including drums. So very nice cross compatibility with it. Now above we have the Adventure Force Thermal Tracker. This is a $25 blaster that comes with a thermal sight, and it has cross compatibility with the magazines again, and darts. So anything you have, throw it in there and it'll accept it, use it, and fire it. Has extendable stock, and again has that thermal sight, which is really, really neat. And I will actually showcase it. I have my cup of espresso here, and what I'm going to do, we're going to focus on that cup of espresso. I am going to power this on, and I will set it over here. You set it to get it to sense the room. Go away from it and let you see that. It senses my little, that's a little 4-ounce espresso cup, also known as a Demontassi. it senses that even before I am directly on it. Very neat little piece of technology. And this comes on a few Busby blasters, including those in the Adventure Force line. Has this little thermal sensor up here. It's very neat. It sends out the little signal and bounces it back, and it detects a difference in temperature. And as you see, it doesn't get you the whole Predator outline of the image, but instead it just detects a difference in temperature. And while I'm just doing a little cup of espresso on my workbench here, it can sense crazy things that you would not expect a sight on a $25 dart blaster to be able to sense. Keep in mind, this thing also comes on the Zenith pistol for under $20. So this is an incredible piece of technology for very, very little cost. I'm extremely impressed with Busby for coming up with something that works so well. Now, moving my preferred drink of choice out of the way, we have the two big blasters over here on the right. You have the Snipe and the Mutator. Both are way, way bigger than your typical blaster. The Snipe is one of the more powerful spring-powered blasters on the market. It's not the most powerful, but it's up there. Because Dart Zone has their Magnum that fires at around in the 90s to almost 100 feet per second. But the Snipe fires around the high 80s to low 90s with my various versions I have tested over the years, because now they've had a gray one, a green one, and a blue one, and a red one, and depending on manufacturing tolerances, a few feet per second difference here and there. But all the way up to around 90 feet per second out of a stock blaster firing with their Busby Precise Pros is fantastic. No modification needed if you just want to run around the backyard and have the most powerful blaster if everybody else is using, say, Nerf Retaliators or Nerf Delta Troopers or whatever Nerf decides to repaint and resell. The Mutator is not quite as powerful, but it runs a big bolt action and dual magazines. You use the barrel to pull back and forth, and you can actually take one magazine out if you've emptied it, be using the other one, reload or switch mags on the fly, throw a new magazine back up there that you've either reloaded or switched, throw that now new full magazine up there, switch to it, go ahead and switch the other one. You can always just keep going. You never have to be sitting there with a blaster that's completely out of darts, and then all of a sudden somebody shoots you in the forehead while you're stranded there empty. That doesn't ever have to happen. And it still has above average performance, just not quite on the par of the Snipe. And it is a $35 blaster compared to the roundabout $22 price of the Snipe. So it does come with a little bit of a premium for the very unique function. Now I'm going to move these all off the workbench, and we're going to take a look at some of the magazine-fed blasters that you would call your standard blasters or primaries. Okay, let's take a look at some of the current collection of what we would call your primary type blasters. These are all spring-powered, and they all are magazine-fed, and for the most part, 4 out of 5 are pump action, with the lone exception being the Top Prime Tactical Storm, which is, of course, sold under the Adventure Force branding as the Eradicator. And if you want to see one real quick, the Eradicator is slightly different. It has a different grip and a slightly different overall shell and color scheme. But internally, they are the exact same blaster. This is available for $15 through, of course, Walmart exclusively, while the Tactical Storm is available elsewhere for about $1 more. Now, the two here on the right have been out for a little bit. We have the Interceptor and the Thermal Hunter. As you can see, outside of the top rail attachments, they are the identical blasters. One just happens to have a red shell, the other is blue. And outside of the sights, the Interceptor comes with a couple extra accessories, like say a spare magazine, extra darts, and a neat little see-through sight, while the Thermal Hunter, of course, comes with the thermal sight, which I just showcased off of the thermal tracker. Now, both blasters are the same. They both perform very, very well. Very smooth pump action with a comfy foregrip. A little small on the pistol grip itself, but I find it's enough to be uncomfortable. But I do tend to take some tennis racket tape, or if you're a cyclist, it would be road bike handlebar tape. Wrap the grip to give it a nice little bit of extra chunkiness to it, and it makes it comfortable for an adult hand. Just something a little bit bulkier to grab, but as is, a child would love it. Or those of us with smaller hands. I don't. I have very large hands, along to go with my size 12 shoes. But that's just me. The newcomers over here, the Agitator and the Frantic Fury. Now, I have extremely high praise of the Tactical Storm, the Thermal Hunter, and the Interceptor. These are 3 of my absolute favorite blasters of all time. I absolutely love these. The quality is impeccable. I think these absolutely beat Nerf's spring-powered offerings. The Agitator is quite good. Now, I don't think it's on the level of the Thermal Hunter and Interceptor. I gave it a very positive review on its own. These blasters here are both... The Interceptor comes in a little under $25. Thermal Hunter is right at $25. And, of course, Tactical Storm is about $16, or $15 if you buy the Eradicator version from the Adventure Force line. The Agitator and the Frantic Fury are both around $20. And the Agitator is the Busby series, available exclusively through Target. The Frantic Fury is the Adventure Force version of it, with a vertical grip and a different shell, but running basically the same internals. And it comes with a neat little flip-up holographic sight. And they both have barrels that you can attach on to just extend the length and make it look like an even bigger rifle. But for me personally, the Agitator is the better of the 2 newer ones. I had a few loose parts on my Frantic Fury. The stock has a lot of wobble to it. The sight is neat. And actually, I'm going to end up putting the sight on to my Agitator. The Agitator I do like. I think I like the styling of these shells better. But the Agitator turned out to be a pretty good blaster. I still would rate the Interceptor and Thermal Hunter a little higher, because I like the clean, smooth, sleek lines, and the shells feel a little more sturdy. But the Agitator was definitely my recommendation out of the 2 new ones. The Frantic Fury, I think they need to go and redo it a little bit and come back again. But it is a $20 pump action blaster. It comes with plenty of darts, magazines that clip together, and a neat little sight and an extendable stock. Not a bad choice, but I do think they have better options available, including even the Tactical Storm and Eradicator. The Agitator is Target exclusive, Frantic Fury is a Walmart exclusive. Now we're going to move on to a few different, kind of hard to shoehorn into a group blasters. Okay, last group of blasters here is going to be a few just kind of random ones that sometimes have some uniqueness to them that is hard to categorize. Now, looking down here, one of my absolute favorite out of this group is the Monorail. This is, personally, if you are a fan of dart blasters, I don't care what age you are, if you are a fan of dart blasters, the Monorail needs to be in your collection. It is a very innovative and interesting design that, like I said, everybody should own one. There's nothing like it in the big 4 blaster companies. That's, again, Nerf, Busby, X-Shot, and Dart Zone. This is true innovation that you can hold in your hand, and it's very functional, genuinely works well, and it's awesome to have seen them introduce this. It is only $16, and it is a 6-shot inline magazine fed, and it's an internal magazine, and you actually get to see the darts. You actually get to see the darts traveling down this little conveyor belt design, which it's not a true conveyor belt that just keeps rotating around and around and around. It is a staged one. It has little teeth that pop up, push the dart, they go down as you pump it again, and it keeps pushing like that. If you could picture, they slide backwards, pop up, a dart, they catch a dart, push it forward, then they fall down, slide back, and they keep doing that, and you can just keep feeding darts into this little hatch in the back, and just keep feeding darts. I'll actually show you that here real quick with a couple. You can just feed any brand, and then as you pump it, there they come. You have to fire it. I have to pump it with my right hand only. And you see that is actually a Nerf AccuStrike dart going through there. And that's to prove, hey, it'll accept everything. And then if you're only going to put a couple in, you have to cycle it all the way through to get them. But you can just keep shoving darts in, no matter how many are still in there. If you've fired 5, reload 5. Or just if you've only found 2, reload 2 and then cycle through to get to them. Very neat blaster. Outperforms Nerf blasters in the stock form. This pump action shotgun style blaster will actually fire up in the middle to upper 70s compared to Nerf's own blasters that fire typically around the high 60s to 70ish. Above it is the Cyclonic. Now this is a Cyclonic that I had since the later portion of last year, before the color, or earlier last year, before the color change. Now it's not yellow, it has gray inserts, and I think it's a very neat design. It has a rotating front barrel that lights up. And as you can see, it has kind of a Gatling effect. It looks neat. The performance is a little under the standard of 70, and that's because some of the power is taken from the blaster to spin the barrels. But overall, it has a simple 2-stage trigger, which means, for all those who don't understand, it's quite simple. Load in a full magazine of any brand, including drums, pull the trigger, it fires. There's no other secondary trigger, no on switch to turn on. You just simply load a magazine, put it in it, pull the trigger, and it will fire full auto with fairly good performance. Now, that's a win-win for just being able to hand this blaster to somebody and say, hey, have fun with it. No instructions needed. And I have 2 blasters here, the Barbarian and the Sidewinder. They're very interesting, and I will not be demonstrating them right now because you have to pump action only. Yeah, you see a trigger that doesn't work. There's nothing there. It's just a solid piece of plastic. And one of my modifications I do with these is when I pull them apart, I take that trigger out to give my finger just more room. But they are drum fed, as in this is a drum you can click into place and load it up. 30 darts for the Sidewinder, 40 darts for the Barbarian, located in 2 20-dart drums. Very neat. The harder you pump, the harder the blaster fires. It has an internal air pump that works off of your force. You pull back that pump lever hard, it fires hard, extremely hard. And it'll fire as fast as you can pump it. So, very, very fun, very easy to use. Anybody can use it. The weaker you pump, the weaker it'll shoot, but that's part of the design. It compresses air and then vents it out into the drum's barrel and fires it. And both of these work extremely well for what they're made for. Just spewing out darts like crazy. And the Barbarian itself is available through Kmart, and I believe Target still carries it, but I actually get mine at Kmart. And I found this one for just under $30. I think it was a $27 blaster when I purchased it. The Sidewinder is a bit cheaper at about $22.99 when I bought mine. And I forgot to mention the Cyclonic is just over $20. And with all those prices out of the way, we come to a $5 little blaster, which I absolutely adore. This is the Busby Blow Blaster. Yes, it looks like a blowgun. It looks like you would just extend it out, put a dart in it, blow through it, and it would just go off of your air pressure that you made with your lungs. But no, you actually have to pump it up, and then you have to put your mouth to it, and you fling this little stopper forward, and it strikes that little push rod, which then activates as a trigger and fires the dart. Best $5 that you can possibly spend to have a ton of fun with. Because everybody who uses these has fun. It's just silly, goofy, but the Busby Blow Blaster is it's the best $5 blaster on the market in my opinion. You can buy a Jolt for that. You can buy a couple other 3 or 4 shot blasters, but this is the definition of fun and silly, and I like that. But that's the Busby Blow Blaster, which actually is the last one in my buyer's guide. And the reason is that I personally don't actually have the I actually don't have one of the Busby Demolishers. I never did get sent one, as well as I never did purchase one. It was a Target exclusive. It looks like a little minigun. You actually have to pull the rear handle to fire it. There is no other trigger, and it fires based off of magazines. Comes with a little shoulder strap. Haven't tested it, but I will point you in the direction of somebody who has. In the description below, I'll try to do my best to remember to put a link to Ryan Engelstad's channel, who did a short little video on his Busby Demolisher, and I'll let you go find that for yourself, or check the description below. But this is Mongoose Jake with my in-depth Busby buyer's guide, with a little bit of information on every blaster showcased, as well as my opinions. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too long, but that it was indeed informative. And please let me know what you think of this in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more very in-depth, drawn-out buyer's guides like this. And if you're new to my channel, please give a thumbs up if you liked the video and subscribe if you haven't already. This is Mongoose Jake saying thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.